So today we're playing Ye Olde Spider, which is a medieval fantasy superhero mashup, of course starring Ye Olde Spider and his new companion, the Night Cat. And this is part 2 of Driven by Rage, and we're going to get it all started right after the intro. Hi folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group role-playing games, solo role-playing games, and there are plenty of actual plays in the playlist. You can check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Lulu, Drive-Thru, and Roll20, and they're all linked below. Let's get started, and we're glad you're here. So let's get started for today. So our hero is Parker Peterson, Ye Olde Spider, and he has last chapter joined with his companion, the Night Cat, although he does not know her civilian identity yet. I don't know if he will sooner or later. And the system I'm using is Streamlined Superheroes. I'm really close to getting it into publication, and my friend Solo Spelunking has been really good about getting on my case to try and get this finished. And I did a little work on it last night, in fact. We're getting there. But let me just give you a quick recap. There's 4 attributes, and you roll a d20 and add the number or the bonus here. Nothing you haven't seen before, and that's intentional to keep it somewhat consistent. What might be a little different is this effect dice, which is powers and skills. And you always roll that to see how well you did. So it's kind of like damage dice, but often situations have damage dice too, or they have like basically hit points or hurdle points. So if you're defusing a bomb, or you're trying to, like you can see, this happens to be Shadow Street, one of my own characters. Like if he's trying to do detective, he'll roll a d12. And if he gets low, he gets some success. But if he rolls high on that, he might get more success. So that's a way that I'm using this effect dice. And I know I'm not the only ones to do that. I think Index Card RPG does something really similar or the exact same kind of thing. A little bit of cross-pollination there. But enough about the system. We're not worried about that. We want to try to have a good story here today. And I don't want to say tell you a story because I don't exactly know how it's going to go. The dice are going to decide that. And I've even built into this scenario a couple different options. You know, if the dice don't go my way, well, maybe we'll try this. So let me give you the recap from last time. So Ye Olde Spider fought a green ogre who had come into town. He seemed very intelligent. He didn't really look like an ogre the way that Parker expected it. And the ogre knocked him out. So he went out that night to try to track the ogre, and he met up with Night Cat, who says she was a former criminal who is trying to go straight. Now they found there was a new person in town who only gave the name of Bruce, and he was working cleaning up at the local church. The local church had taken him in Sharpton Cathedral. This is the city of Sharpton. Later it may evolve into Sharp Mountain City. We'll see. So he was there, and he was looking for some help. He said that he had a problem. He didn't want to specifically say what it was, but he needed magical help from a wizard, Xander. And they offered to take him over and to try to talk with the wizard Xander to see if there was anything that could be done. But along the way, they were attacked by these metallic automatons, almost like knights, but they were self-propelled and self-thinking, and they claimed to be working for someone called the Tyrant. Now, while they were fighting, Bruce, surprisingly, it surprised both the spider and the cat, turned into the ogre. You know, he changed and grew all this muscle and was green once he got angry. Now, unfortunately, there were 3 other robots, and they defeated the spider and the cat. You know, they knocked them out, knocked the wind out of them. And when they came to, you know, after they were stunned and came to, they found that Bruce was gone, and so were the automatons. So that's where we're picking up right here, and we'll see what the dice let us do today. We'll see if the odds are always in my favor or not. So Ye Olde Spider, you know, gentleman that he is, he asked Cat, oh, are you okay? She says, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. She said, we just got the wind knocked out of us. She says, but what about that automaton? Do you think we could get any information out of that? Is this magical, or what's going on here? And the spider says, well, I don't know much about magic. And Cat doesn't either. That's not in her framework. He says, but, I do know quite a bit about alchemy from my day job. She says, oh, and what's that? He says, well, from my day job. That's all he says. He said, well, let's see what we can find out. And he goes over to examine the remains. So I'm going to roll. It has to go through the dice tower. 8, okay, and that would be his intelligence plus 1 is a 9. So no, he is not able to get any substantive information out of the robot here. Also, I'm trying the white dominoes. You can let me know if you can see those better than the gray dominoes that I usually use for things. And she says, well, I won't be of any help with this. She said, maybe we should go on. Maybe, he was trying to see the Wizard Xander. Maybe if we go to the Wizard Xander's house, mansion, he'd give us some information. And Spider says, yeah, but dressed like this? And she said, well, if you want to reveal our civilian identities, we can do that. And he says, well, no, but I guess we'll just have to go like this and see what he says. He said, but maybe you could do at least some of the initial talking because, I wear this mask and I might look like a robber. So let's take them through town. It is night. Maybe it's about 8, 9 o'clock at night because they did spend some time at the cathedral. And they head over to the Wizard Xander's mansion. And they knock at the door. And the door is open just a crack. Not very much. And inside is a young lady. Red flowing hair. Very pretty lady. And she opens just a crack. And she says, it's late. The wizard won't see anyone at this time. And the cat says, oh, but it's a very important mission. It's about the ogre that was seen in town today. Please, is there anything that you can do to talk to him? And she says, well, I don't know. So let's see. Nightcat has a charisma of 2, which means we add +2 to the roll. Doesn't have any special other stuff in there. Like I don't think thievery would fit in here, but maybe we'll give her a D6. I don't think that's unreasonable. She had a life of crime, so maybe she's used to conning people. Let's see how she does. 18. I don't even need to add anything to that. And the 4 is very good, too. So she says, I know, she says, I'm going to be very honest with you. I know my companion and I look very strange. We're not masked robbers here. We're only here to help. And the person inside says, well, let me go in and see. She does shut and lock the door. And I want to give them both an intelligence roll just to see something here. Where's my blue spider dice here? I'm not going to worry about an effect dice for this one necessarily. If they don't have anything special, it's a D4, so I don't think it's going to much matter. Yeah, our spider, he says, I felt this tingling, almost as though someone were reading my mind or reading my thoughts. And she says, well, I don't know anything about that. I do know there's magical stuff, but magical things, but I don't know if that would be applying in this case. So the young woman comes back and she says, you may come in. She says, but there can't be any problem. She said, trust me, there are wards and people who live here who will make it very much a problem if there are any problems along this. And Kat reassures her. She says, no, we have no bad intentions. My friend here he suspects that, maybe you could tell that. So she brings them in, and there's a side parlor here. She stays, and coming into the room on a chair with wheels on the bottom of it comes a man, a bald man, older man. Now, what's unusual about this chair, just imagine a regular chair with wheels on the bottom, like a dinner chair, is that it's being propelled by itself. No one is pushing it. So there's some kind of magic going on here. And wheeling in and sitting in the chair is a bald-headed man. Oh, and you can see, it looks like I got Patrick Stewart himself to be here, doesn't it? It's amazing. So he wheels in and says, and I don't know if I can do the Patrick Stewart for him. Well, what can I do for you? And she explains, she says, we were helping someone. And we think, I'm just going to be very honest because I suspect that if I'm not honest, it's not going to help us anyway. We were helping someone, a new person in town named Bruce. And we think Bruce is this ogre who went wild in the square. We saw it ourselves. We were attacked by these automatons. And we thought, maybe you could do something and you would be able to help us determine, where they took him. They kidnapped him, and we just think it would be dangerous. He knows he's dangerous too when he loses control of his anger. And the spider also chimes in. Yes, any direction you can give us, and we'll be on our way. He really wanted to come here and have you help him, with his condition, thinking, with your mental powers, your magical powers, there's something you can do. And Professor Xander says, well, maybe that's something I would have to look into. He said, I'm not sure about that. He said, I don't usually cure curses or afflictions of the mind. He said, there may be some things we can think about along that. He said, but I think the more immediate problem is determining where he is. So you say he was in his ogre form when they captured him? I want to just let you know they're pouring some concrete right down the street. Right when I finally get a little time to record. And I mean, they have to do their work. I understand. They have to do it when they can. But if you hear any, that's what it is. So I apologize for that. But this is my time to record, and this is my time to record. So he says, well, I don't know if he's truly an ogre, but maybe I can do a sensing roll and see what information I can find. So he closes his eyes. He says, now you have to be quiet here while I, reach out to the infinite. And let's see how he does. 10, which is fine because in this system, 10 is a success. And he's going to be at least a +3 or a +4 on that. Probably more because he's pretty high level. And a 9. Okay. So the way I do with the effect dice in these cases is 1 through 6. That's the first half of 12. That would be pretty good. And the 9, well, that's higher than that. So that's going to give him a lot of information. He says, yes, I'm picking up. Now, I think he's still subdued or something, but I am picking up this great anger, and anger, beyond what we normally have. He said, and I'm picking it up outside of town. He said, he says, Jean, can you bring me these information, the maps? So she brings the maps to him, and he wheels over to the table, and they look at it, and everybody else comes over to the table. I guess we need a table. And he points out, he says, now up here, there was an old dwarven mine. He said many years ago, just outside of town, but it got played out. He said, they're not using it anymore. He said, I think that would really be a good spot for people to have a hideout, or if they're up to some illicit activity. He said, now I would have guessed, smuggling or thieves would be storing things there. He said, but it might be more than that. And the spider says, oh, thank you so much. And if there's anything we can do. Now, he thinks about it, and he says, this is a dangerous mission. He said, I can't go with you up on the mountain. And I'm going to say, let's see what the dice say here. 4. Okay. So I was going to say about a 4 out of 6 chance. I think that's reasonable. A little more than halfway. He says, maybe my young protege here, Jean, could accompany you. And Black Cat says, well, we don't want to be taking amateurs in the middle of all this. And he says, oh, no, she has significant skills in many areas. Perhaps even at the door, you felt that she was testing you both to make sure that everything was on the up and up. And Spider says, yes, I do know that. So he says, we'd be honored to have her come with us, and we will do everything we can to protect her. He's very chivalrous, I guess, for the Middle Ages, and hopefully for today, there's still some chivalry. So she is going to accompany them up the mountain. And I have the little peoples, which I like, but I have a little token for her as well. It wasn't specifically meant for this, but I think it'll work anyway. You can see it's a young woman here, right color hair. So she, gets her boots and clothes that would be appropriate for going up the mountain, and they thank the professor. They thank the wizard. They say, we'll be sure to come back here. Should we bring Bruce back here if we're able to successfully get to him? And the wizard says, well, like I said, I certainly can see what I can do. I can't promise that I could fix this. This sounds like it may be more of a curse, he said, but perhaps there there's could be further ways if we could get something to help him relieve him of his curse. There may be magical items and stuff. So they head out and they decide that this is pretty urgent, that they can't leave Bruce to whatever the problem is. And I'll take Patrick Stewart out of the way here. That they really have got to make their way up to the mountain tonight. So they're going to do that, and they're probably going to take a torch because they would need some light to make their way to the mountain. And they work their way out of town, and this takes a while. This takes a couple hours. I figure they're probably not going to get in there until midnight or after that. And when they get close to where they think the mine is, they put the torch out. And Kat says, "No problem." She said, I'm used to sneaking around in the dark. Let me sneak ahead and see what I can see. So let me see for her. I don't remember which dice I was using. It doesn't matter. We'll use the black dice, and she is going to sneak ahead. Now, she has thievery of D12 because she used to live a rough lifestyle here, a thieving lifestyle. Let's see how she does. 1. No. So, she's used to breaking into buildings and things like that. She is not used to skulking around in nature. Nature is just not her thing. So let's build. You can see I have these little dominoes. They have cars on the other side. Must have been, I think I got them at a yard sale or something many years ago. So there is a cave entrance here. I guess I better move it away from my dice tower. And she makes some noise. If you remember, 3 of the automatons got away, and there are 2 guarding here. They are guarding the entrance. And that's what they're doing. So I better make some notes for them. And they hear this noise. Someone is here. Someone is coming after the tyrant. And they get out. They have very large poles like spears. And they are going to approach our location here. So because of that, because they're not able to get any surprise, because unfortunately the cat made some noise here. 1, 2, 3, the heroes go first. Let me get them more into camera range here. 4, 5, 6, the automatons go first. 5, the automatons go first. So they come charging in, and they recognize the cat and the spider. They've seen them before. So what they're going to do is that's who they're going after first. And then let's see if they hit anybody. And they have a D8, I believe, for their spear. So cat and spider both take a hit here. Cat takes 5. They both take 5. So I'll take care of that for their HP over here. I'm just keeping track of that offline. So they take a good hit. Okay, but now it's their turn, and I'll just go in the order here. So our new companion, Jean de Grey, she says, "Let me try something." And you see, she puts her fingers up to her temple, and let's see how she does. 10, so she hits, and she is using her telekinetic powers, and I'm going to say her mind reading is the D12, so the D10 will be her telekinetic powers. Oh, now that's not a 0. That's a 10. So she takes one of those and whacks him back pretty hard against a rock. And the cat, I'm impressed. Now she is going to use her cat claws, and she is going to try to leap on him and really try and do some damage to him. Let's see how she does. Remember, in this system, you just need a 10 or better to hit. 8, and let's see. Her dexterity, because I think I'll use her dexterity because she's doing a jump, is 3, so that's 11. 9 points of damage. One of them is taken out. I can just flip him over. And Spider says, "Well, at least you left one for me." Now, let's see what he's going to try to do. I don't know if he's going to try to... Well, maybe he'll try his ensnare, hoping that maybe they can question this guy. I'm trying something different with the ensnarement. Oh, 8 and 9 points. So that means that this guy is ensnared for 9 points. I'll make a little note there. So next round, all he can do is try to break loose. And we'll see. Let's see if he can break loose. And he has to beat that 9 points. Let's see how he does. And I'm going to say his strength is a D10. Oops, I didn't roll the D20. So that's no good. Should we keep the 2 roll? I think we'll keep the 2 roll. Let's even see if he's successful. Nope. So he is ensnared. So that means attacks against him are going to be at advantage, which is really good. So he tried to act. He tried to break free from this. You can see we have the action economy going for us here with 3 against 1. So she is again going to try to, knock his weapon from his hand and do some damage. And is going to get to do that with advantage. So let's see. What's our advantage dice here? Maybe this white one. I like to use the different die so I can keep track of who's what. Yes, she does. I think we said that was a D10 for her. Oh, only 1 point of damage on him. So he's not knocked out or anything. And the cat says, let me try. Now, she's not pouncing in this case. She's just swinging. She doesn't get any bonus on her to hit there. So but her cat claws are a D10. So hope for a 10 or better. 17, 8 points of damage. Wonderful. And ye old spider is going to come in and I don't even think I rolled the advantage dice on that, but she didn't need it. The old spider is going to come in and he's just going to try, a haymaker to knock him out. His super strength is a D8. Let's see how he does here. 18 and 19. He did not need that. Yeah, they subdue this guy. This round, they subdue this guy. He is totally ensnared, but not necessarily knocked out. Okay, not necessarily, he's might be kind of groggy. Circuit's not working well. And they want to try to learn what's inside. Now, he has not really an organic mind. He is magical and an automaton. So here's what I'm going to say is that Jean de Grey is going to try and use her psychic abilities, but at disadvantage because she's not reading the normal mind here. And she has a D12 on that. So let's see with the disadvantage. We have to take the 6, and that would be a 9. So she's not able to do that to get any information. Perhaps his mind is just too alien, so to speak, for her for things to work out. So Nightcat is going to try and intimidate him. And let's see. I would say that's with her thievery. She's had experience working with intimidating people. Let's see how she does. 17 and 9. She says, we're going to take you apart bolt by bolt and plate by plate and scatter you across the mountain. She said, you have to tell us what's going on inside, and then you have to go straight afterwards. She said, perhaps we can get you to town and get you rehabilitated. He says, I have to follow the tyrant. I have to follow the tyrant's instructions. She said, well, maybe. She said, but you better at least tell us what's going on in there. And he's intimidated. He's intimidated by both of them and the spider here because he saw the other fella get really, knocked out, and maybe the other fellow lost, part of his body armor and all that. And he says, it's too late anyway. I may as well tell you it's too late. The tyrant has full control of the ogre. Between that and his building of the mechanical army, he will take over Sharpton very, very soon, if not in the morning. And Spider says, it sounds like we have to get in there. We really have to get in there. So he is going to web this guy up such that this guy may not be a problem for a good long time. We can deal with that later. Now, Jean says, well, let's be cautious going in here. There could be problems. It could even be traps. And let's see if the other two listen to her. 18 and 4. So Cat wants to just go right in. She says, here, traps in this old cave. But Spider says, no. And he pulls her back. He says, we've got to be cautious about this. We've got to be smart and take things as they are. So I think what we're going to do is Jean will say, well, let me try something. So what she's going to try is floating a rock or something through telekinetically to see what happens. And I don't necessarily know that she's going to need a roll because she's not really under any stress or anything here. But we'll have a roll just to see how well she does. And let's see, her telekinesis is the D10. Oops, didn't go through the tube. But she only got a 5. So the rock goes through and she's not able to get any information. She says, oh, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be trapped, at least in terms of these rocks. But, it certainly doesn't mean that there's not necessarily a problem. So what's going to happen here is, let's see, we'll have Spider go first. He says, well, let me try. And he's going to try to use his dexterity and maybe his wall crawling to avoid things here. 5, no. So it's not good enough. And he is hit like this missile, almost like magical, a missile of sort of fire or light, shoots out and does only 1 point of damage. So he must have been able to dodge a little bit. And he's down a little bit. He and Cat have taken some hits because they haven't really had any chance to rest or anything like that. And he says, oh, be careful. I said, I'm going to look over here and see if I can find any way to shut it off. Let's see how he does with that. I don't know that it might be magical, so I don't know if he's going to be able to really know anything. But we'll roll for his intelligence and his alchemy here. 16 and 4. Those are pretty good rolls. So he thinks there may be some kind of shut-off on this side. So what I'm going to say is, what I'll do is I will give advantage to our two ladies here as they come through based on his really good roll there. So Cat's going to come through. Her dexterity is a +3. I'm not going to worry about the effect dice here. I don't think we really need it in this case. So she had advantage, and the 12 is good enough. So she, flips through here very acrobatically. And let's see about Jean. 19 and 20. She didn't need advantage on either of those rolls. So they get through just fine, and I'll shift the dominoes down there a little bit. I like these white dominoes. I think they're really working. So they have made it through whatever the trap was here. Some kind of magical missile trap here. And she says, well, maybe I should look ahead. The cat says this. Again, she has that thievery for sneaking ahead. Spider says, well, I could also wall crawl. So let's see who's going to do it. 1, 2, 3 is Spider. 4, 5, 6 is the cat. 1, 2, 3 is the Spider. So he says, just let me see if I can wall crawl up here. So it's opened up into a bigger cave. So this used to be a mine. It's kind of damp in here. And there is light up ahead. So something's going on. It was kind of dark coming through that corridor there. I should have said that. But there is some light up ahead. So there's a lot of purchase for Spider here. So he doesn't have any trouble climbing the walls. The only issue would be is if he makes any noise. If any of the rocks fall or anything like that. So in that case, we'll give a roll here. 4. Yes, he makes some noise. So he hears noise from the other room, and there's someone out there. And clanking into view is the last of the robots, or the automatons, I should say. And then he hears a voice, you as well now, under my control, brute. And coming out is a very familiar figure, a very large, almost ogre-like, although looking a bit more human, creature. And it's angry. It's full of rage. And the spider sees standing here a large metal, say maybe not large, maybe about 6 feet tall, maybe some kind of pillar. And also there is a man. Now this man has kind of green skin also, much like our green-skinned ogre here, but he has a very high forehead, almost like his brain case is expanded, and the best pencil mustache you can imagine. But he says, "I know you're there." And he says, "Get them." And they rush in, and it looks like our battle's starting right away. Spider is here kind of on the ceiling, and the ladies see this, and I'm going to assume they move a little bit. Let's see who goes first. 1, 2, 3, it's our heroes. 4, 5, 6, it's the opponents. Now, Spider has faced the big green brute before, so he knows that he's very dangerous. So again, 1, 2, 3 is our heroes. And what did I roll there? 2, good. So they get to go first, and let's see what they're going to do. And here's what I think. I think that Cat is going to try to distract the big brute guy. Spider says, "I'll go for the automaton. Jean, can you do anything with that device or whatever?" And she is going to rush towards the device here, because Spider suspects that that's something to do with what's going on. So let's see. Cat is going to, let's see what she can do. She could use her cat claws. Now, since it's the first round, I'm going to kind of let her jump and use her dexterity for the attack. And her cat claws are a D10. 7 and 3 is 10. Oh, she comes and she slashes 3 points of damage on our big green brute. And he goes, thought Cat was friend. And let's see. Now, Spider is going to try to, I think based on where he is, he's going to try to entangle that automaton there. And let's see. His entanglement or ensnare is a D10. So let's see how he does. 18, very nice for 9. So this thing is, and I can use the same square, is entangled for 9. So that's going to effectively cause him to lose a turn. And Jean is going to come in here, but this guy is kind of guarding his device here. So I think she's going to try to telekinetically reach out and do some telekinetic damage to the guy with the very nice pencil-thin mustache. So let's see. Let's get a nice dice for her, the nice gold dice. And her mind reading is the 12, but the telekinetic attack is only a D10. Not only, but it is a D10. 14 and 2. So she has him reel back a little bit. But she hollers, "Focus on him. I think I need to get the device turned off." All right. So, looks like it's the bad guy's turn, or the opponent's turn, I should say. So our big hulking guy he's unfortunately going to take a swipe at the cat there because she's tormenting him. "Don't like to hit lady. Tyrant says I must." And let's see how he does here. 5. Oh, good. He misses. Because that would have been 9 points of damage on her. So she must sort of jump and dance out of the way a little bit. Now, our robot is going to try to break free here. Let's see how he's going to do. He has to break free of 9 points of entanglement. Okay, so he is stretching and working at the webs, and he gets it down to 4 now. So some of those webbings snap a bit, but he's not free this round. And the spider, no, he can't act yet. We've got to have him act. So I think what he is going to do is he sees somebody threatening his device. So she notices he has, it's some kind of like a magic wand, but it has like more of a handle, almost like a pistol grip on it. So he is going to fire at her. And let's see how he does. That's a D8. And he gets a +2 to that to hit. 14. Oh, he hits her for 6 points of damage. So blasts her back a bit. Okay, now it looks like it's our turn here. I think our cat is going to try and move into here and go after the, kind of close in on the guy with the magic wand there. So let's see. So cat is, now she's in close, so I think she's just going to use her strength. So that's a straight roll, and our cat claws are a D10 here. Oh, that's good enough. But she only scratches him for 17. He says, no, you won't ruin my plans. But she's distracted enough that I think our Jean de Grey can now try to see if she could figure something out, a magical way to stop this device. Now, I'm going to say that's probably a D8 for her. 8, and we've got to add her intellect to that, which is +3, so that's 11. 5. Yeah, she starts to figure out that this is a magical device and is starting to work on it, mentally to try to shut it down. And she says, I think it's some kind of mind control, she hollers. Okay, so who hasn't acted is our spider. And he is kind of worried. He sees the ladies over here. He is kind of worried about the big guy here. So he says, well, let's see what we can do for you, big guy. And he is going to try, again, the entanglement, which is a D10 for him, for his effect. How did he do? 12? Okay, for 1 point of entanglement. That's not very much, is it? In fact, I'm not even going to write the 1. But he is entangled for 1 point. Okay, their turn. And the other robot, he's way outside. We'll worry about him later. Or the automaton. So the big guy, he was ensnared. He's going to have to try to snap free here. Let's see if he can do that. I don't really need his super strength because it's only 1 point. But he needs a 10 or better. 4. Let's see, even with the super strength with the +3. Not enough. He's still entangled. Hate spider webs. Okay, now our automaton has to break free here. Or might be able to break free. And he is. He breaks free and comes for our spider here. I'll just put that little cardboard square out of the way there. And let's see. Who is he going to fire at? I think he's going to fire at Jean because she is trying to take out the... take out his device there and making some progress. He can see that our big green brutish guy is looking a little bit confused there. So the tyrant is going to make his shot here. Let's see how he does. 10 and 7. Good solid hit on poor Jean there. So she bounces back, but let's see what happens here now. Okay, so he was going after that. And I believe he was ensnared, if I have everything right. I had a little glitch with the camera, so you're going to have to just forgive me if I had to go back and, go back a few steps and re-record. The camera was frozen. So that's where I'm at. So I'm hoping that I did everything right. So let's see what Jean does here with her device. And I think we were doing a D8 on that. 19. Oh, that's very nice. She shuts this down. Great. Okay, Cat is going to try and do a solid hit here at the tyrant fellow. Now, she's not getting any advantages because she's not leaping or anything, so it's just strength. But her cat claws are a D10. 13 and 10. Oh, good solid hit on the tyrant. Okay, and then let's see what our spider's going to do. I think he's going to just try and do a good, solid, super strength whack at the automaton here. 15. Oh, good. I'm getting good rolls here. 8 points of damage. think I'm getting better rolls on this re-record than I did the first time. All right, but the big guy is still up. He is going to try to break free. All he needs really is a success here because he's only ensnared for one. No, he's still ensnared, but he seems to be like less confused. What's going on? And he turns his face. He can see the tyrant and is very upset with him, but he's not able to do anything this round. Okay, so he was not able to break free. Robot will be able to try and take a poke at the spider, and he does for 7 points of damage. Okay, so he whacks the spider, and spider says, oh, a little help here. But now, let's see, he is, I think, let's see, he shot at Jean before. I think he's going to shoot at the cat this time. All right, it didn't go down. So, did he hit? Yes, he hit for 5 points of damage there on our cat. And, okay, good guys are up again. Since he is, well, he didn't get to go this round, but he seems to be coming out of his fog. So let's see. Our spider, I think, is trying to just get away from that robot there. Just going to try to take a poke at him. Okay. Does that count? It didn't go down. But it did fall in there. 2. Okay, he misses. We'll keep it legit. Now, both of these ladies are going after the leader here. Jean is trying to use her telekinesis to throw something, which would be a D10. And our cat is taking a poke with her cat claws, also a D10. Let's see if they hit. Only Jean does for 4 points of damage. So he just, his head gets tossed back and, he's really starting to get beat up here. All right, and I think that's all of their round. So big guy here is going to try to break free again. Yeah, finally, he breaks free, no problem. And he says, you. And he starts barreling across the room, can't attack this round, towards our tyrant with his big forehead and big mustache. Okay, robot. Our spider is still entangled with the robot here. Oh, let's see. No, okay, it's not enough to take him out. Good. But he is really whacking at ye old spider here. And then let's see. This guy. All right, so he is going to back away, and he is going to try something. And let's see if he succeeds, first off. 7 plus his intellect is 3 is 10. So, and his effect was a 3. They see him start to fade out. All right. So I'm going to say, he didn't get in the upper half of his effect die there. So I'm going to say he is starting. They think he's teleporting, but I'm going to give them one more round to do something. All right. So let's see who's up. Spider is up. Spider is going to just try to disengage from this guy here because he is going to shoot a webbing over this direction. And I don't have any attacks of opportunity or anything like that. I find that kind of confusing. He's going to try to ensnare him as he's teleporting. Let's see how he does. I don't know how would that, I'm not sure how that would work with a teleportation, but we'll see. 11 and 6. Okay, so I'm just going to remember 6. I'm not going to put a piece of paper for right here. So what I'm going to say is, all right, this guy is still phasing out of existence, but that's going to give these two a little bit of advantage on their roll, on their attack roll, because maybe the ensnarement, goofs him up somehow. So we're going to do advantage. So Jean is again trying the telekinesis, trying to knock him out and maybe disrupt the spell. And she has advantage, so she hits. And I think that was a D10 we were doing. I can't find my D10, so we're just going to roll. There it is. There we go. 7. So she knocks him out and disrupts the teleportation. So he falls to the ground, and the big guy is still rushing over there. So the cat and the spider, they try to, no, calm down. Don't kill him. We're going to turn him over to the town guards. Now the robot is still running wild, but he has lost his command center. So I'm going to say that he's just sort of flailing around and is not sure what to do. So Spider is going to try to talk to him and communicate to him. No, we're friendly. Just calm down already. So I'm going to say that's a charisma roll. He doesn't have any bonuses on that. 18. Yeah, so he's able to calm him down. Now, what they decide is that they're going to, he says, I think we're going to web up this tyrant fella, and I'm going to take him in and leave him with the town guards. He said, I'm not sure what to do with these 2 robot fellas. This is really, really out of my league. And Jean says, well, maybe I can take them back to Professor Xander. And perhaps there's the wizard Xander. Perhaps there's something he can do with them. Maybe even rehabilitate them. Or if not, we'll, see what we can do to put them out of commission, unfortunately. They're not truly living, so it wouldn't be like we're killing them. And Spider and the cat say, oh, that sounds good. And the big guy starts to calm down. And Jean and the cat and Spider see him make a startling metamorphosis back to a man. And he says, oh, thank you. I didn't know that I'd see anybody again. And I don't even have clear memories of what was going on. He said, but I feel like I was going to be used for something I shouldn't be. And Spider says, oh, well, relax. You're okay now. And I apologize for any punches or any webs that we had to do. And he says, you were going to go to the wizard Xander for help. And he says, well, Bruce says, I'm not sure. Cass says, yeah, but Gene works with the wizard. Is there something he can do? And she says, well, he was really unsure of that. He might be able to do something, but I think it's one of those, off chance things. And Bruce says, no, this is a problem because now that tyrant fella has seen who I am. And if he tells the town guards, and they're going to come and round me up and I'll get put in jail, he said, or worse, they could try to apprehend me and I could get angry and I could hurt or possibly kill someone. I don't always have control when I'm in that other form. He said, I think I'm going to have to pass on this. And he says, I think I'm going to have to leave Sharpton. But where will you go, says the spider. And he says, well, I hear there's this paladin of Themyscira over in Fallcrest who has a lot of powers. He said, this might be some kind of curse. He said, maybe at least she would either be able to cure me or give me an idea if there's a magic item that I could seek out. And Spider says, if there's something you need for help, he says, you need to come back to Sharpton. He said, we will help you on any quest if you need that. And he says, oh, thank you. He says, well, I'll go with you, as far as the town. I got to quick pick up a couple things at the church that I left there at the cathedral. He said, but then I've got to be on my way. He says, I can't thank you enough. And he says to Jean, he says, please tell the wizard Xander, I'm sorry I didn't get to meet him, and perhaps I will again under better circumstances when I have all this under control. He said, I certainly do know a little bit about magic and alchemy myself. So they go back to town. They're going to remand the tyrant into custody. The 2 remaining robots, the other 2 were destroyed, will be taken to Professor Xander by Jean. And the spider sees the man. He gets his pack and he's walking away, walking out of Sharpton, and they play that sad piano music. Da 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 da, da 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 da. And, I'm not reshuffling the scene here. And then the spider talks to the cat and he says, well, I wonder if we'll work again. He said, we made a pretty good pair, I think. Pretty good team. And she says, I don't know. She says, certainly look around when you're out on patrol, and we'll see what we can do. She said, I wonder if there's any other heroes in the city. And he says, oh, well, one that I know of. He said, well, we'll have to keep all this in mind for the future. I think that's a good spot to stop now. If you like the video and you want to give it a like or subscribe, that's great. If you want to leave a comment, wonderful. I love all that. And give me some interaction. And also check out in the description below, I'm linking to some other really good small YouTubers, a little bit bigger than me, in fact. Maybe they're not as small as me. But in any event, I'm going to link to their medieval superhero adventures too, so you can check those out. We'll see you next time.